Welcome, welcome. Hello everyone, glad you're here. Can't remember the date. I don't need to say the date. August 8th, that's what it is. August 8th, 2016, Monday night. We're so excited. We have such a great surprise for you all tonight. I know you're going to be happy to see this, and I'll tell you what it is here. Well, I'll tell you what it is now, but before I do that even, we're getting close up. We're going to have our sew along. It's Nikki's favorite top. That's August 27th. It's going to be on a Saturday. And I'm just going to make that top, and you guys are going to either sew along with me or you'll watch and then kind of play it back and watch it later. So it's all good. We're going to choose the we've got a fundraiser that we're going to do. We'll talk more about that, but save that date, August 27th. That's a really important date for everyone to save. So what we have, I know many of you know that last weekend was Spiffy, and we had ladies literally from all over the world come and learn more about fit, and I think it's exciting. But one morning we were talking, and I said to the ladies, I love that you come here, I love that we have this, the yada yada yada, but what's the difference between what the webcast and hearing the information and actually being here and putting this information into actual practice? What's the difference? And some of them said it's just a matter of seeing it over and over and reinforcement, and this old information that's in our head haunts us, but this new information is good information, so it's helpful to just see it all over. So we went on with the day and doing what we were doing, but the next morning I came back and I said, I've got this idea. Can some of you see, we have Spiffy 1 this weekend and Spiffy 2 next weekend, and some of them are actually staying through. So I said, could some of you come over and we could bring muslins and we could drape live, like right in front of the webcast, right in front of you all. So we chose pants. We chose different pants patterns. Each of them chose according to what they had made up, and there's 4 of them, and they're some of who were at the Spiffy training, and we're just really excited. We're going to drape. This definitely didn't have a lot of preparation like yesterday, and so we might have a few rough edges here, but we're going to make it happen and make it work, and the goal is for you to see it over and over and understand how quick and easy it is. That's the goal. LCD is what we're going to go over again and again. Before we do that, we're going to do our traditional format. We're going to do our questions and answers, because I know some of you do have questions and answers, and you hold them and hold them and hold them until this webcast, so we don't want to not honor those. So we'll go ahead and do our questions and answers if anyone out there has questions. Yep, that's okay. You guys have a little delay, but we'll get it in there. Questions we can answer. Hang on, we're getting there. Okay, so the first question is, I made a blouse with 195 using size 4, and probably not a blouse, we'll call it a top just because it's a knit top blouse, usually in furs woven. Size 4, my top was huge. I have a 38 bust, and I don't know if the fabric that I used stretched a lot or need to make a size 3. Okay, again, it's a top, so 195 is for a knit pattern, so and anytime you're dealing with knits, you should be using a negative ease. So if your bust is 38, you don't want to be making a 38. I'm not sure what the numbers are in the back of 195, but you should be measuring several of your favorite t-shirts that you wear, not blouses, but t-shirts. You should be measuring those, coming along and finding out what you like, and then make up the size 4. The size 4 can't be huge for 38 bust, so just go back through the process and figure out what went wrong. Something went wrong, but it should be a knit top. 195 is a knit top, it's not a blouse. And again, in my mind, when you say blouse, that infers woven fabric. So 195 is a knit. Okay, hope that helps. I shortened my shoulder seam by 1 size per your instruction. Shortened, I don't think you mean shortened or narrowed. Could we say narrowed? By 1 size per my instructions. I know I need to do that on the front and back pattern pieces. Do I need to do anything with the sleeve? This is on the sweater set. All right, remember you have, I'm going to kind of steal this little thing sitting here because I always leave it here in case I need it for webcast. If this is my sleeveless template or my knit sleeve template, and if this goes at my shoulder seam and this goes at my side seam, if this goes in a size, this will do something else. It will either come up a little bit, it will go in a little bit, but just take this and you can put it between any 2 points. So if you move it in, then pay attention to what this does. If you need the circumference, it'll have a tendency to go up and you'll extend the side seam up a little bit. So whatever it is you're doing with that armhole, pay attention to the armhole. You have to keep the armhole the same. You're just going to change the 2 points it goes between. Very simple to do, not complex. We've done plenty of webcasts on armholes and sleeves. There's a video we've done, it's called Plain Potatoes with Patterns, and there's also one called What's Up My Sleeve. Those are both all about the armhole and the sleeve, and they'll help you. Okay? Questions? Are there questions? That's okay. Go ahead and just... We have a different computer that we're using tonight, you guys, so that's the deal. We've got a different computer that we thought would be faster and better, and sometimes there's a learning curve. Go ahead, I want to what? I want to make a jumpsuit using the yoga pants, which... Go ahead. What top would I suggest? Just to use a knit top. And any top that you like, it wouldn't make a difference, but use a knit top. And then obviously your final product has to be a knit. So you can't use a yoga pant if you're wanting to make a woven jumpsuit. But putting the two together, it doesn't matter which one you use as long as you use a knit top. 115 would be adorable. Anything that would slip over your head, because you've got to be able to make sure the knit opening is enough to step into and bring it up. You're going to step into this jumpsuit, so you've got to make sure the neck opening is wide enough to step through. So don't do 195 because you're not going to be able to get it on. So just do something, or do 195 but have, maybe a V-neck. 115 would work well. Off the top of my head, let's see, what else would work well? Anything with where the neck is a little bit bigger. Okay? You know what I did just before I did, I think it was 519. Mia's ruffled top is cute to do with a jumpsuit. That one's a really cute one. How much is too much to take up to remedy under the butt bag? Tell us what you're wearing, and is it a woven fabric, please? Could you please how to do templates for armholes and necklines? Under the butt bag, how much is too much? An inch is too much. If you've taken more than an inch, then it's too big a size, or something else is wrong. The top I'm wearing is from a webcast, and you know what, I forgot. I was going to actually go back through the webcast. It was from last summer where I made this top. It's actually a stretch silk. It's on the site. It's a stretch silk. I love it. And I don't remember the third question. Oh, how do you make the templates? Thank you. For the armholes. You need to find your favorite armhole. There's a page on the last page of our website where it says function or features. If you go to features in the middle column, there's a list, and you fill it out of all your favorite things, and your favorite armholes are on there. So you have a sleeveless, a knit, and a blouse armhole, and those armholes you should take from your favorite garments, lay the French curve down on your favorite garments, and then find a pattern that matches those armholes. And then those you should make your templates from. They're your templates. You create them from your garments that you wear and your patterns. Okay? Yeah, if we've missed questions, you guys, just because of this new computer thing, just ask again and we'll pick them up. Okay? When I am wearing the top 195, I lift my arms. The top goes way high in my waist. Why is this happening? Because the circumference of your sleeve is very small, and because the knit that you made it out of doesn't have enough stretch to it. So like this is even a woven, and you can see when I reach my arm, it doesn't go up that much. And it also depends on the long sleeve. Benjamin, go back to that one. Do you mind? Can you? Yeah, sorry, I missed the last part of that. So you can increase the circumference of your sleeve, it'll give you more reach room, or you can increase the stretch of your knit. Knits that don't stretch will take the garment with them. Knits that don't have a lot of stretch. Keep there. We can go back to the other one. I want to make a flared skirt with a woven border print that runs down the selvage. Does the cross grain then become the grain line? How do I get the curved skirt bottom to line up with the border? Alright, well, if you have a curved bottom and a straight border print, you're not going to get them to line up. Skirts that have border prints are A-lines or straight skirts or wrap skirts, or you can't get a curved bottom to line up with a straight. I mean, you can do the best you can, and if it's not a really linear border print, I've done it. If it's a floral border print, it's not really harsh at the edges, you can line them up. But if it's really harsh, then you don't put a square peg in a round hole. You look for another pattern. Okay. Okay, I want to. Okay, I got it. That's okay. All right, so we've got those two. So to stop, when you raise your arm to stop the lift, you either increase the circumference of the sleeve, or else you get a knit that stretches more. One of those two. Okay? Alright, did you say you can take an invisible zipper through an elastic yoga style waistband? If so, would you please explain the construction so it looks neat inside and doesn't pull on the zipper? Alright, so you always have a seam allowance whenever you have, I wish I had my pants with me, but you always have a seam allowance. The seam allowance on an invisible zipper is always turned back, so all you have to do is serge the edges. You take the elastic all the way to the edge of the fabric, you serge that edge, you turn it back, and you put an invisible zipper in. It's done that way all over the place. Just observe in ready to wear, and you can see it quite a bit. Anything that has invisible zipper just has, unless it's lined, just has a serge finish to it. And it can be taken up through the elastic. It can be taken up through anything. I want to do Susie's skirt, but I'm only 5 feet. The high-low really appeals to me. Love the one you did on the video, but couldn't understand how to change it to a high-low. I already have the pattern. You're just the difference between the high and the low. The high was normal height, and then the back was 5 inches longer. So I just added 5 inches at center back. I took it to like 2.5 at the side, and then took 2.5 to 0. So if you go back through that webcast, what I did is I just cut through the skirt. I added 5 inches here, 2.5 inches there, and that created an angle at the bottom. And then the front of the skirt I put 2.5 at the side and 0 at the front. Put those two pieces together so they act as one, and you can see you'll taper through those two front seams. So it's just gradually adding more to the back, less to the side, less to the side, 0 to the front. And that will give you that effect. And it's just a fun effect. Very easy to do, just you're adding different amounts at different places. How can I alter it a standard bodice to fit my narrow back with a larger bust? I'm a 48 bust, but it's all in front. How do you lower the back crotch without lowering the front crotch of Sally's Pants 3200s? We'll show that tonight. Don't worry about that. I'll answer that question a little bit later. But as far as you're all front, you know, I just have to disagree with that. I think you think you're all front because you don't have eyes in the back of your head. But I've had many women say that to me. Just do one of the patterns, cut it out, don't make alterations, just try it. I think what I found in Spiffy, and during the week that the ladies were here and we were talking and going through all these issues, a lot of you stop your progress before you even start. You fail in your head and so you just don't even make the attempt. So I'm going to say to you, get a pattern, 195, make it up. You're going to do just a few adjustments. The shoulder seam you'll have to adjust. Some of you will have a sway back, but other than that, of all the group, we had 20 ladies in the group, very few adjustments were made. So you really have to give a little bit of trust, and I kept saying to the ladies, you know, this is a lot of trust that you've given me to help with fitting, because so many of you have struggled with fitting all your lives, and the patterns are drafted completely differently. I think one of the ladies said, tell them the patterns are drafted differently. The patterns are drafted differently. They really are different. They say I don't talk enough about that, but that's simply because I've been drafting like this for a lot of years. So they really are drafted. Don't divide your body out and fail before you even start. Just make an attempt. I've been wrapping all of my knits around me to see how much fabric I like, and it's worked great. Good, it does. Do you have any other thoughts about this? For your knits are woven, yeah, measure your tops. I would go through and make a list of my favorite tops and how many inches they all are. So you're going to see there's a variance of what you like, but you're going to see that most of them that you like will fall within the same arena. So the goal is to get the pattern and then to repeat it. All right. The width of the serger seam when you turn it under for neckline 195 should be 3/8. The width of the serger seam is usually only a 1/4 inch, and then I turn it under 3/8 so that all the serged edges included in the inside. I need to take out 1.5 inches from back and front sleeve cap. I need to take out 1/2 inch from back and front sleeve cap. Can I draw a horizontal line and fold out 1 inch? No. If you need to take a 1/2 inch out of the front and 1/2 inch out of the back, the horizontal line should be a 1/4 inch. A 1/4 inch 2 times will be a 1/2 in the front and a 1/2 in the back. 1 inch would be way, way, way too much. So take the amount you need out of the front, amount you need out of the back. The horizontal line should be 1/2 of those, and then draw that in. Okay. I know this may be kind of early, but I really love the capes. Do you have a pattern? I really like the short sleeve version they have now. We are coming out with a cape for the fall patterns. We've already done the photo shoot, and they're in the oven cooking. So as soon as the oven is ready, they will be out. Probably around Labor Day, maybe the week after, but right around September we'll have those patterns ready, and we're very excited. We've got some great new styles, and we think they're all great. But yes, we do have a cape. It's called BJ's Cape. Boy oh boy, that is truth. No trust in myself. Your patterns have the easiest sleeves to set in. Thanks. They do. They are easy. Make sure you put the sleeve on the bottom, and make sure you only use 3/8 inch seam allowances. Okay, so let's bring these ladies in. Do we have any more questions, or you think we're good? Let's wrap up on those, and let's get to pants. Now again, because we have these ladies here and because they were willing to, I had to capitalize on this because I think this is just going to be phenomenal. I think a lot of you will really learn from this. So again, we're going to start with a yoga pant, and Francine can, I don't know if they can hear me, they're all hiding out there, but they can. Hi Francine, come on in. Francine, this is the yoga pant, but what she wanted to do rather than the knit yoga pant is she wanted to do a woven yoga pant. So she's made up her muslin. I went ahead and had her put on the elastic just so that so many times when I drape women and they, hold on, let me answer that question. How do I fix a sway back issue on my yoga skirt muslin? Just scoop out. It's just like a little scoop in the back of the yoga skirt. You're going to take more out of the center front. You're going to taper to nothing on both sides. So just scoop out a little bit, and that will take care of it. Okay, so I had her put the waistband on because I really wanted her to get a feeling as to where it was. A lot of times when I'm dealing with yoga pants and I say, okay, do you think you'll like it here? Remember, there's 2 inches above. Some of you do okay with that, and some of you have a really hard time kind of imagining where those 2 inches are going to hit you. So yesterday when we were talking, I decided to just have her go ahead and put it on. Does the pant feel like it should be here, or does it feel like it's too high?
It feels like it's too high.
Okay, so immediately when it's too high, the first thing we're going to do, she's made up, this is a woven yoga pant now is what she's wants. So she's made it bigger. It's going to be a little bit bigger because the elastic is going to pull it into her waist. So the first thing we do is once we put it on the body, we slash the crotch. And the reason we slash this is there are guidelines or directions to make up the muslins. They're on the website and they're under instructions. I'm going to have you turn around. They're under instructions. So if you go to the instruction page on the left-hand column, you'll see instructions or guidelines, and there's tops there, and there's blouses, and there's all that other stuff. Okay, so we've clipped those seams, and again, just because they're inverted, they really need to be clipped. And because she feels like this is too high, is it too high in the back?
No, it's good in the back.
Okay. All right, so it's okay in the back. So what that means is, I'm going to have you turn sidewards. Before I even start doing anything, can I assume the crotch is where you want it to be?
Yes.
Okay, crotch is where she wants it to be. Those aren't your pins, right? Those are your pins? Okay. So what I'm going to do is take a dart, and I'm going to take it at center front. Now I'm not worried about this extra circumference because all of this extra circumference here is going to be taken in with the elastic, but I do want to put it where it's comfortable on her. There's been many women, again, I'm going to say it again, who have draped pants on, and then once they put the band on, they say, well, it's too high. I really thought it'd not be as high, or it's a little higher than I wanted. How do I fix it? You could just literally scoop out of the top. The reason I'm doing it this way is so that the relationship between the band and the pant stays the same, and then I don't have to go back and fix that. So you could just scoop it off the top and change the circumference. It's an elastic waist. Or I'm going to do this dart because it will take down, and I can take a different amount here than here, and then I'm going to leave the center back exactly where it is because that's where she likes it. If I pull down this much, is that comfortable for you?
Yes, that's good right there.
Okay, so this is about 2 inches that I'm taking out, and if you're taking out inches at the front, then taper to probably half of that, like 1 inch at the side. Don't try to go to nothing at the side because remember that usually your waist, follow your waist obviously, but usually it needs a little more gentle taper than that. So if I'm doing 2 inches at the front, it's going to need probably 1 inch at the side. So that's just pulling that down. Is that more comfortable for you? Okay, good. She doesn't have a mic on, but she said much more comfortable. We tried to figure out how we were going to do this, and I'm not even sure that we figured it out, but we're going to get there. And Francine's usually at home. Where are you from?
Virginia.
She's from Virginia. She's usually at home watching these webcasts, not on them. So I told her that she's going to come back every other Monday night and be on the webcast.
It would be fun.
All right, so then she's going to just turn slightly. I'm going to take the 1/2 inch here, and then I'm going to taper to nothing at center back. The only reason I'm doing this is to secure her waist in place and get it where she wants it to be. Is that comfortable for you now? Okay, so now she likes it. She's happy. This is a stretch muslin. This is not, I know it's white and you guys probably can't see, but it's actually there's stretch to it. So she wanted a stretch woven pair of yoga pants, so she made the yoga pants in a stretch muslin. Okay, so we're tapering to nothing here. There's just a little dart, horizontal, that runs around. That's looking really good. So now we're going to stay to the back, and we're going to go in order L, C, D. L is length, and that's kind of what we've already done. She's got the crotch where she wanted, and the pant could either be up or down. Length is an even amount all the way around. This is actually, it is length, but because her waist is uneven, in order to fix length, we can take an uneven amount out from the front as we do the back. I've heard it said for so many years, aren't waists parallel to the floor? No, nothing's parallel to the floor on your body. So don't think that and don't go there. Okay, so then we're going to do circumference. She's in the right size. She feels comfortable in this size. And so she did great. If it was too big, I would strongly recommend you guys make another muslin. It's too much to try to bring it down. If it was too small, we built in seams on the outside. Your directions tell you how to do that. And so we could merely just take it out, bring it in. And it's always better to have it too big than too small. It's much easier and faster to work with. Although if it's too small, then it throws it off because it's graded in the center of the pant. So if you pick the wrong size and it's either too big or too small, I would remake the muslin. It doesn't take that long. How long did it take you to make a muslin?
20 minutes.
She said 20 minutes, but that's fast. That's really fast. I don't know. You don't need to go that fast. There aren't many seams. That's really true. Okay, so now I'm going to go L, again, C, and D. This is D that we're at. And I'm just cuffing up the bottom here just so she doesn't trip. All right, and we're good to go. Now, she's got wrinkling that's horizontal underneath her back thigh. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach in at the very top. See, I tried to take it out here at the rear end, and there's nothing there. There's no room to take any more out. So I'm going to clean up the angle of her back leg. And I can take more out, and this is at the very top of the inseam. So at the very, very top of the inseam, as high as you can get up, I'm going to take, about a 1/2 inch dart. Now that dart is at the top of the inseam. In order for the pattern to lay flat, it's going to just come around, come around, come around, and it will taper to nothing at the side seam. And you can see that just cleans up the top of that leg tremendously. It'll do an amazing job. This is not something you can do after the pattern is cut. And the reason it needs to be at the top of the inseam is because I'm changing the angle of the leg, and instead of it going out this way, it's now coming back straight this way. And you can see that makes a tremendous difference in even the yoga pant. Now a lot of times we won't see this in the yoga pant if it were a knit, but because it's a stretch woven, you'll have a tendency to see more detail and look at the difference between the two legs. That just hangs and looks really nice. Alright, when I do it back here, I'm going to have her turn around because I've got to do it in the front also. And a lot of times if we have a little funky thing in the front, it'll clean that up. So you can see that once I take away this at the top of the inseam, you can't do it in the back if you're not going to do it in the front, then that'll clean up the front portion as well. I always have a tendency to work on the back. I think it's just, I don't know, there's more problems that happen in the back, so I think I have a tendency to work back there. Go ahead and stand straight up for me. We didn't put a mirror out there so you guys could see. I guess there's a mirror in the bathroom. You can go see. There's a double mirror in there. So we have all these people in my sewing room, you guys. It's just too much fun. We're having our own sew along. I saw that question. What top is Peggy wearing? You guys, I made this on a webcast, but I'm not sure which one it is. Tonight after the webcast, we'll put it on. We'll make a link for you, and we'll put it on the webcast page. Okay, how's that look? That looks so good. Oh my gosh, that looks so good. And then again, this is all gathered in elastic. It looks amazing. How's it feel? Okay, good. Good, good, good. I'm going to help you out because we've got more. Okay, is the dart going from side seam to center back? Is the dart going from the side seam to the center back larger on the side and tapering to 0 at center back? And why did you do that? Hi Pat, come on in. Okay, we did that, remember, because we were adjusting her waist. So remember that she wanted to change the angle of her waist and she wanted it lower in the front. So we took out of the front and we tapered to nothing all the way in the back, but halfway, like it was 2 inches in the front, half at the side and nothing at the back. So that, and again, you could scoop it off the top if you wanted to, but that changes the length of that line, whereas if you do it lower, it's just a little easier way to do it. All right, Miss Pat, how are you? Where's Pat from?
Los Angeles.
Oh, she's from Los Angeles, everybody. Okay, so this is now Ralph's pant. And she's got it done up. I'm just going to make sure all the closures are right. We don't want to drop anybody's pants here. Okay, just a little bit overlapped, a little bit more. So I'm just going to redo that. She doesn't want her pants to fall off. Can you imagine that, you guys? Now these are Ralph's pants is what we're doing. Correct? Ralph's? Okay, so I'm going to make sure they're big enough. I'm going to do the same thing. Hold on to them just for a minute because they may fall down. You got them? Okay, and I'm going to clip the front crotch. So if we're going to develop an order, the first order is put the pants on. Second is clip the seam allowance. The seam allowance is there in case you need it. I'm going to turn you around. I'd go to the back of you, but I can't. And I'm going to clip this as well. Okay, so once you've put the pant on and you've closed it up, you're going to clip the seams. Okay. Questions are, I usually have a gap between the tummy and crotch, but when taking up the dart, it pulls down at the waist. Am I taking out too much? And do I add more to the back waist? Okay, we're going to go in order because crotch depth is what we do first. And that's what we're doing right now. I'm going to explain the answer to that question. So hang on just a second. I'm going to have Pat pull up her crotch length. So the pant, then the place you start always when you're draping pants is you put the crotch at the crotch. You don't care about where the waist is, the crotch goes at the crotch. And what holds that pant in place is circumference. So the way I'm going to hold it in place is to put a pin here and a pin over here so that Pat doesn't have to hold on to her pants anymore. Is that going to hold your pants up? Okay, so what we want is her pants to stay up by themselves with my pins. Do they feel like they're going to fall down, or do they feel like they're okay? Need to take them in more?
A little bit more.
Okay, so she feels like her pants are going to fall down. You take them in more. You take them in until you feel like your pants aren't going to fall down. Circumference will hold the crotch in place. Does that feel right? So these are way too big. Yes?
Well, they kind of fit through the hips.
Okay. All right, so what she said is she felt like her hips were too big, and so she went to a larger size to make sure they fit her hips. So I'm going to continue to take them in a little bit, just for a little bit, just to make sure they'll stay up so you feel like they'll stay up. So this is crotch depth, and all it can do is either go up or down. Okay? So we've got this where she wants it. Obviously it's too high for her because she's shorter, and so she put the crotch at her crotch and she's got all this extra. Alright, and that's okay because we're going to cut off the top. It's not to worry. Give me just a minute. We're going to cut the top off. Okay, because this pant is 3600, because it has a contoured waistband, we're actually not going to cut it off. We're just going to take a big, it's really a tuck all the way around. So because it's a contoured waist, I don't want to just cut off the top. If it was like Sally's pants, I would just cut off the top. But because I want the waist to be where the waist is and the crotch to be where the crotch is, I'm going to take like a 2-inch tuck all the way around. So if I take that 2-inch tuck, does that make you feel like the waist is where you want it to be, Miss Pat?
I think so.
Okay, so I'm going around taking this big 2-inch tuck all the way around. Because remember, she's got this contoured waist. Alright, we're going to go all the way. Oh, you're turning. That makes it way easier. And so it looks a little fuddled, but if you're fitting at home, what I would suggest, come this way for me, is just take the pant off, sew this big 2-inch tuck, cut the seam allowance off, and then you won't have all this hanging around. You'll just, it'll be where it's supposed to be. So the first thing you're going to do is the crotch in the right place, therefore get the waist in the right place. How do you finish the edge of the selvage that you use as trim on the jacket? I don't know what jacket. Does the side seam need to be straightened? The side seams will fall straight. Don't do any straightening to the side seams. What do you fix the back pant leg from rubbing? What to do to fix the back pant leg from rubbing on the back of your leg? I'm not sure I understand that question. Why can't you clip the seams before you put them on, especially when you're fitting yourself? Because you might need those seams. There's no reason to add seam allowance if you're going to clip them. The whole purpose in adding that seam allowance is if you need more length. So if you need more length, you have it in the seam. Once you put them on and you don't need them, then you could just cut it off. But even a 3/8 seam, once it's inverted, it'll have a tendency to pull. Does that feel like they're going to stay up? Okay. So all I've done here is get that pant to where she needs it to be. And now the pant is at her waist, and she feels like it's the right circumference. And it looks really good. Okay, so that's crotch depth. It goes up or down. You put the crotch where you want it, get the waist where you want it. I could have put an elastic, I could have cut it off, I could have redrawn it or taken up darts. There's several ways to do it. There's not just one way to do that, all right? Okay, now I'm going to turn her around. Poor Pat. She feels like she's just doing a little turn thing. And I'm going to look at the back of the leg, and you can see that there's a little buckle just going down to the knee. That is going to be what I'm going to take out right here at the hip line. And you always want to come to the hip line first. You always want to come to the hip line first. When I was fitting Francine, I did not go to the hip line first because, I mean, I did visually, but I could see that there was nothing there to take out. So in fact, I didn't go to the hip line. I did go to the hip line, but there was nothing to do at the hip line. So with this pant, because it is a dress pant, Ralph's pant, it is going to taper to nothing, and you can see how beautiful straight that leg hangs. Alright, so it just comes right off of her back and goes straight down, and that's just hanging beautifully. I only do one side, because normally if I do two sides I don't pin them exactly the same, and then I never know which side to use. So that is just beautiful. You can see it's just hanging straight. It couldn't be any better. And then she can, if she wants to, she can narrow the leg. I'm just going to warn you all that when you do narrow the leg, know what you want. Don't just start narrowing it. So that's a good time to maybe put on some pants that you have. Measure the 3 areas. Measure the thigh, the knee, and the hem. And then you can just kind of play dot to dot as to where to go. But that's just hanging beautiful there on her. The waistband is just right where it should be on her. She's going to just really pretty. Oh my gosh, they look so good. Then I'm going to turn around and I'm going to fix any funky things in the front. And she's got a little bitty ripple there. It's not much, but I'm just going to go ahead and take it away. And I'm going to put a little dart in the front. For many of you, this is not, again, something you can change after the garment has been cut. So it's reason why we do the muslin. It just looks and hangs so much better. And we don't want these funky little smiles in the front of our pant. Alright, there we go. And again, this has to go all the way to the side seam or else the pattern won't lay flat. Now originally we were going to do a pant draping, but we were going to do it later in the month. So we'll flip the PoM to the end of the month and do this, obviously do this now, but we had put on a pant duo. We did the pant fitting, and then we did the tips too, which has all the sewing methods in there. So you've got all that available on sale, you guys, which is a really good thing. And I don't remember the pricing, but it's a really good sale when you buy both DVDs. Okay, so you can see now again, that pant just hangs perfectly straight. Very pretty. Get my head out of the way. Alright, so are there any questions on this? And we'll wait just a minute. Okay, I think we're okay. We'll answer any questions. They look so nice. You good? Thank you, Pat. Appreciate it. Okay, so next we have Sue. And Sue, is that right, Sue? And Sue has on the exact same pants. She did 3,600 also. Now keep in mind, these guys were just nice enough to let us do this on them. So 3,600 is the pant of choice. And we're going to go through the same process. So it's closed up. Hi, Sue. Sue, where are you from?
Greenville, South Carolina.
Greenville, South Carolina. See, you guys, we had literally people from all over the place. Even Texas. Imagine that, right? All right, when you close these up, you guys, and you're doing this yourself, what I noticed when spiffies were fitting each other, you know, when the ladies were fitting each other, I noticed that some of the time they would not close it up on the right line. So that's really confusing when you don't close it up on this, you know, the line that it's supposed to be closed on. You're kind of off in the first place. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to start the same process. The first thing she should do is put the pant at her crotch. If you're at home, whenever you are, no, oops, I didn't clip the crotch. I forgot. I tell you guys 1, 2, 3, and then I forget. So the first thing is closing it up. The second thing is clipping. And again, if you don't think you need it, you can always take it away, but I would suggest you just add it on. From all my years, I'm telling you, you need it. How's that for politically correct? Alright, just clip that back and clip it as far as you can get in. It doesn't have to be clipped all the way. Okay, very good. Alright, now you want to pull them to where they're comfortable at your crotch. Is that good?
Yes.
Alright, and nobody can tell you where your crotch should be. Just an FYI, everybody gets to decide where they want their crotch to go. Are these steps the same for all styles of pants? Yes, that's why we're doing different styles into the same steps. What is the order of the process for transferring alterations to the pattern? You don't have to take it back to the pattern. You can make the changes here on the muslin. You can reduce the seam allowance down to 3/8, and your pant becomes your...
Muslin.
Yeah, your muslin becomes your pattern. Same thing. Your muslin becomes a pattern. Do you narrow pants from both seams or just outside seam? It depends. If you're changing the styling, and it depends on how much. Usually you go to the out seam, but once you get below the knee, you need to do both sides of the knee, both sides of the hem. Okay, I don't think these are yours, but I'm going to use them anyway. Okay, so she's got her pants where she wants them, and do they feel like they're going to stay up?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to take the circumference. Do they feel too high?
Well, the waistband's already there. So
The waistband's already there. Does that feel good where it is? Okay, so she wants the waistband on 3600 is contoured, and it's included. So I'm going to take them in just a little bit so they kind of stay where they are. See, they already look good. No changes? We didn't make any changes to the tissue? No? No changes?
no, we did not.
No changes to the tissue. Alright. Alright, so then we're going to go right to the back first. They've on this little cylinder block, you guys, and they've got to really balance themselves just right to stay on the little cinder block. But we thought it'd be helpful if they were elevated up just a little bit more. Okay, so I've got that clipped, and so Sue, it goes over the rear end really nice, but then what happens is it gaps away from her body, and many of you this happens to because your waist is so much smaller that you have these gaps in the back. This is a contoured waistband. So all I'm going to do is darts, and usually you only need 2 darts. You need one. It'll be right about 4 inches from center back, and then you need any other ones along. It doesn't make any difference. All you're doing is you're going to get a more curved waistband. This will not be in the final product. It's going to be actually in the garment. I'm sorry, it's just in the pattern. So you're putting the dart here, the pivot point is at the very bottom, and you can just curve that as many places as you need to get that garment to come right back into her waist. So she's got 3 little darts here across the top, and it curves, and look at the difference in how that fits. So very easy to do this. Again though, when you can sew these into the waistband and then just use that muslin as your pattern is the easiest way of what I would do. You could take the changes back to the tissue. You just run the risk of making a mistake. Ideally what I would do is I would make the changes, I would try the pant back on and make sure they're comfortable for you. Whenever I'm translating in a class or whatever, I'm always wanting the person to make the changes and put them back on so that we can see that the communication between me and the pants, or me and the person, is okay. Okay, see, those look really good. Okay, so she's got that. Butt looks great. Nothing better than a good butt. Okay, here we are. Sorry. How big is the crotch seam on the muslin? We do 1 inch on the crotch seam also. Sorry, I couldn't figure out. Yeah, 1 inch at the crotch, 1 inch at the side seam. So when attending the 2-day workshops, we just bring 2 muslins of any silhouette pattern we want to have fit. Is there time to sew? Do we bring our machines? Thanks, I'm a workshop newbie. You bring muslins, you bring your machine, you bring fabrics, you bring anything you want. You can do anything you want in those 2 days. But I would bring more than 2 muslins. 2 muslins not enough, is it?
No.
I can drape 2 muslins in 10 minutes, so I don't know what you're going to do the rest of the time.
I brought 4 last time.
Yeah, you want to figure out what you want to do because you can actually make the garment. You can do all kinds of stuff in those workshops. Okay, so I'm going to turn around Sue to the back. And I want to, first off, look at the back of the pants. You see wrinkling below the leg, all right? But when I go to actually, so the very first place I want to do is I want to pull. Is that sticking you?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
You okay? Ouch. Okay. Ouch. Yeah, sometimes be careful with these pins. They do stick, you guys. Okay, so I'm going to pull up her, this is the crotch length line. I'm going to pull it up just a little bit, just to try to pull it up all you can. Always go, I can't say it enough, because I see a lot of women during the spiffy workshop, and they would go to the leg before they went to the rear end. Always go to the rear end first, and always fix the rear end first. Always, always, always. The reason being, on that pant video, it'll show you when a skirt is split and it's opened up, and you can see that it's been split for the rear end. So it doesn't make any sense to go down here first. You've got to get everything you can out of here. Sometimes if you don't go here and take out, you end up with taking out too much under the leg. The under the leg should be more of a tweak more than anything else. Now, because I've still got a little bit of wrinkling under her leg, and it's not much, but I'm going to go ahead and take it off the top of her inseam. Alright, and just grab, usually it's only about a ½ inch, it's not that much. And it needs to be way high up at the top of the inseam. I hope that pin doesn't stick you, Sue. Go ahead and stand back up. It needs to be way high up at the top of the inseam because what you're actually doing is you're changing the angle of the leg of the pant. And you have to change it at the top, not halfway down. So that needs to be at the top. And then if you do this at the back, if you touch the inseam, the center back seam sews to itself. The top of the inseam sews to the front of the inseam. So if you do it to the back, you've got to do it to the front. Okay, easy enough? Alright, look how pretty that leg hangs. I mean, look at the difference. There's such a difference between those two sides. It's just unbelievable. I'm hopeful you can see that. You can see all this wrinkling here, and this one just hangs straight all the way back down. Alright, let's turn around to the front and let's just figure out that front. And so all I'm going to do to the front, at least what I'm going to do to the front, is take away that 2 inch. She might need something more because I've done the back first. She might need that little crotch adjustment sometimes that we need in the front. We're going to see. And I think she does. Do I typically do that to you, Sue?
Yes.
Okay. So, you know, it's funny to me because a lot of people think, a lot of women, and as we age, you guys, we all get tummies. And a lot of women say to me, oh, I've got a tummy, I need to add length, add length, add length. And that's actually just the opposite. If I have a tummy, generally, and the tummy comes out, there's less length between that point and my crotch, not more. And so I think it's really a misnomer as we think we have to add. Most of the time, we get this little poochy thing right here, and because I'm going to keep it all on the same side, I'm going to have you turn just a little bit more. I'm going to take it away right here. And that actually is the best thing you guys can do for any kind of tummy because it's going to make you look your thinnest. What you don't want is the pant to wrinkle and go in underneath your tummy. You want it to hang straight between your tummy and the crotch. So I can just take all that fabric away, and what you'll see is it will taper to nothing at the side. That looks amazing. What a difference a day makes. Gosh, that looks so pretty. Looks so pretty. Alright, let me answer this question. Because those ladies sit comfortably in those pants after you take them in like that. That's where I went into problems. I can stand, but I cannot sit. Of course, if you can't sit, there's 2 reasons you can't sit. It's either too close up to your crotch or there's too little circumference. Now, what y'all don't know is when they're leaving here, they're going out to this, we nicknamed it the green room because it's just our living room upstairs here at the house. But they're going to go out there and then we're going to bring them on and you can ask them any questions you want, okay? I would love to see how you take the muslin apart, flatten the alterations, and cut the actual fabric. I can't seem to get the muslin flat after the alteration. This is way too easy. All you do now is reduce the seam allowances to 3/8. You actually stitch those changes and then you put them back on. If you like them, you take them apart. They do lay flat. If they don't lay flat, it's because you haven't tapered to nothing at the edges. So you've got to taper to nothing where it comes around to the seams. Where's the information on the 2-day workshops? On our website, go to instruction, and instruction you can click on and all the workshops are there. If the crotch is too short, what can I do? Well, when we had you make this muslin, we actually had you add at the top. So we had extra seam allowance added, just you don't want it to be too short. But that seam allowance going around is 1 inch. If you need more, you just make it a 1/2 inch and then the whole pant will come up. So that's the purpose for that seam allowance in the front. These look really nice. Very nice. Thank you, Sue. All right, so last what we did, and we'll bring the ladies back on here in a little bit, but last what we did is we did Elizabeth, and Elizabeth is doing 3,500, and we did 3,500 because it's Carolyn's cargo pant. Hi, sweetie. Welcome to Texas. Where are you from?
Peachtree City, Georgia.
Peachtree City, Georgia. Could y'all tell like that with that accent where she's from? All right, so I'm going to again close up her front. And what's the first thing I'm going to do, you guys, after I close it up? Well, Elizabeth, what am I going to do?
I need to tell you where my crotch is.
That's right. But even before that, I can clip the crotch front and I can clip the crotch back. All right, you can take a 1-inch seam and invert it and expect it to lay flat. It's not going to. And there's so many times where I've clipped crotches and a woman will say to me, "Oh my gosh, what a difference." Yes, it makes a huge difference. So don't forget to do that. And I do it like every 1/2 inch and I go all the way to the actual stitch line. Gosh, these look good already, sweetie. These look really good. I think so many of you, I think the good news about making a muslin is you'll find out that we had a lot of spiffies going, "Wow, these muslins fit really good," before we even made any changes. So that really is a positive. You want to pull those up to where they're comfortable at your crotch. So how do you flatten out the muslin once you take it apart is the question. It will be flat. I mean, you take out darts. Darts are stitched on the sewing machine. Don't leave those in, but just it will be flat. Once you take it apart, it will be flat. The only reason it's not flat is you've made an alteration that has left a chunk in the side or, you know, been too chunky somewhere. Its crotch is good. I'm going to start at the back. Look at her cute little sexy butt she's got. First thing I'm going to do is go here. I can't really take anything out there. That's crotch length. The crotch length is fine for her. But because she's got these wrinkles underneath here, I'm going to go ahead and at the very top of the inseam again, I'm going to take out that little 1/2 inch dart. And the 1/2 inch dart goes from here, it goes right through these two pieces that are sewn together, and it's going to taper to nothing at the side seam. And I hope you all can see what a difference this makes, because it really looks good. I think the whole goal in showing you all this is you see that in 4 different bodies, 3 different patterns, we're doing the exact same thing over and over again. Women say to me, "I can't do this, I can't do this, I don't know how, I'm by myself." You can do this. It's simple to do, and look at that. That's just beautiful how that's hanging all the way back there. I'm going to double check her waist just to make sure it's small enough. I'm going to put a little dart right there. Again, that's in the yoke, so it's not going to be in the final product. The yoke will have a dart at the top. It'll taper to nothing at the bottom. If you do it on one side, you got to do it on the other side because you're going to have one pattern and you're going to use it for both sides. Was there questions that I missed, Benjamin? When the muslin is good to go, do you trim the seam allowances, then take it apart and sew in all the darts? Is it possible for anyone to do all this on themselves? Is it not possible? Of course it's possible. I wouldn't be showing you this if it wasn't possible. All you do is put your muslin on. Elizabeth doesn't have to see that she has a bag in the back of her pant to know she has a bag in the back of her pant. I don't need to be the one to do it. Even if she has to take the pant off, you need the knowledge. The knowledge is more important than somebody else doing it for you. I can do it because I have the knowledge. I'm trying to share the knowledge with you all. So if you have bags, pinch in your rear end in a mirror and try to take it up here. If you can't take it up there, then go to the top of the leg and pinch it up there, and you'll see a huge difference. Even if you can't pin it all exactly even, the dart goes from a ½ inch here, nothing here. All these interim pins are just a straight angle line, so it doesn't really matter if they're exact or not. Turn around for me. And then you turn around and you look in the mirror and you can see the front, and automatically you do the little dart that's at the top of the inseam that's coming from the back. Do that first. Questions are, I'm confused when you say take a dart in the hip area in the back and when you don't. You didn't on the first model or this model. That's because she didn't need it. But you look there first. You look at the hip line to see if fabric needs to be taken out there. And if it does, that's your first place you should change. It doesn't mean it will always need to be changed, but you still have to acknowledge that it's changed. It's kind of like the analogy would be the shoulder seam. If I have a gap in the armhole, the first place I should look is the shoulder seam. It might not be the cause, but I should at least check there first. And then I'll have an answer as to whether it's the right answer or whether it's not. Alright, question is the dart under the leg on an angle or straight across the leg? It's straight across the leg. It's not an angle. It's straight across from the crotch, the widest point of the crotch, straight across to the side seam. Oh, it's Jared, the camera guy, is saying it's the angle of the camera. It looks like it's slanted, but it doesn't really matter. Again, it's what's coming out here and that it's going to nothing over here. So it's a straight angle line going that way. Okay? Alright, so with Elizabeth, once I take that out on the front, that looks amazing. It looks really good. It looks really good. So I'm not going to take any other changes. I would always check the top of the crotch. But I think she's okay. I think she's really good. Yay, Elizabeth. Okay, so we've got a few minutes left. I want to bring them all on just so you can kind of see what we did and remind you of the changes. Number one, I know you guys, there's so many wires through here, you kind of have to be careful and watch. Elizabeth, you're the shortest. You could stand here if you want. Come on in. Pat, you can come over here. There's wires that they're all being careful of. So here's the bottom line. Can you see, Francine? Can they see you on there? So I want you to see the different shapes and sizes, because as they were all coming on, you know, you might not have been able to see that. But regardless of the pattern, the first thing we did was put the pant on, clip the crotch. Alright, second thing we did, put the crotch where you want it to be. And everybody did put the crotch where they want it to be. Third thing was the circumference is what holds the crotch in place. So in Pat's case, where we pulled the pant up, we had to make it smaller because the size was too big. And we pulled the pant up and we put the pins in the side. Then clip the crotch, turn them around. If they need a tuck across the rear end, make it. If the rear end and the pant match one another, if the crotch length and the rear end are fine, then you don't make that adjustment. If there's still some bagging under the leg, then you do go top of the inseam. And if you take out of the top of the inseam in the back, you have to take the top of the inseam in the front because the two sew together. Then turn them around to the front. In Sue, we had a little dart under the tummy. In Pat, we had a little dart under the tummy as well. And that's it. Right? Anything else? Does it get any harder? You got it? What was the hardest thing, you guys? Can it be this easy?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think women really do struggle with, can it be this easy? Yes, it can. To get these pants off, is the front seam released? Yes, it doesn't matter if you pin up the front or up the back, but no fitting takes place in center front or center back. Nowhere in any of these ladies, when I was closing the pant up, did I alter the center front or the center back. Okay? So because they're just pinned in place, you can take them off. You not worry about that you're messing anything up. Don't get into them and fit them on the side seam because all the fit is through the side seam. Once you take the pant off, you're going to reduce the seam allowance. You're going to sew all those changes, and then I would put them back on. And then once you put them back on and you like them, then they're ready to come apart. You've got one front, you've got one back, and that becomes your pattern. That's probably the simplest way to do it. I have no hips and normally have to wear a belt to keep pants up. I like low pants like yoga, but worried I'll have a problem keeping them up. Suggestions? Make them. You have a rear end. Your rear end's bigger than your hip, they won't fall off. I haven't met a woman yet who has a problem holding pants up. Okay? Try it. And get the elastic to where it's really small. All right, anything else? All right, I have to say thank you because these ladies went through a lot of time and energy to get here. And I hope you all will look at this over and over again until you just get it. Don't make it harder than it is, because it's unfair to yourself to really make it any harder. It's not hard. It's really easy to do. So, any other questions we can wrap up? We're at 9. Anything? Okay, this is the 8th. 2 weeks is the 24th. We'll see you in 2 weeks. We'll do the PoM. All right? So the goal is, ready, you ladies? Happy sewing. Happy sewing. Bye.